Hello, everybody. We're back. Let me just see if it's all okay. No shaky camera, I guess. Okay, cool. Welcome to the, first stream of the week. And today we're going to be having fun again with Systems Manager. But this time we're going to be having a look at how you can manage a hybrid environment. So basically, again, moving a bit away from the cloud, but still in the cloud. So how can we, as an engineer, use the tools available in the cloud to manage resources, servers technically, right, that are outside of the cloud? So today we're going to have a kind of a, let's say, a fun time doing something neat, which can be applicable to real world situations. I hope you all find it. Good afternoon, Graham. Yeah, hi. Hope you're all good. Oh yeah, I have a different layout again. So let me show you. Oh, it's a bit of a different layout here. I think it all works properly. And there is even a chat box here, but I'm not sure if the chat works. Chatter, I think it should work. I have no idea. So apparently above me should be a chat box showing up chats as well, but I have no idea. Does that work? It maybe works, maybe not, doesn't matter. I think that's not important. So today, as I said, we're gonna look into how we can manage hybrid infrastructure, or how can we basically manage on-premises infrastructure. Oh, there you go. There's a chat coming up in front of me. Hello, yeah, it works. So we're gonna be looking at how can we do some hybrid infrastructure management through Systems Manager, right? So we're going to be trying to do the same things we do on the cloud for EC2 instances, but this time we're going to be doing it on my data center, right? So, and yeah, let me actually show you my data center. Let me just switch to a big camera and take my camera and show you my data center. Well, bam! Say hello to my Raspberry Pi running Raspbian. It's technically on premises, but what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to manage it with Systems Manager. I'm basically going to try to do everything I did with EC2 instances on this puppy. So yeah, let's see what we can do. Face me. Yes. Yeah, it's a data center, right? Technically, it's a data center. There's some data on it. It's sitting on an on-premise location. It's not in the cloud, but let's see what we can do about it. So the Systems Manager being capable of basically running an agent on anything gives us also the ability to run an agent on a non-AWS instance. And there's a few things we need to do about that to make it work. And we're going to kind of go through steps of doing that today. So first thing we're going to be doing here is I should buy yeah, another. Oh, I have one. See, I didn't connect my old one, but absolutely, I have another Raspberry Pi to make it multi-AZ. Absolutely, I'm gonna take one to my neighbor or something, or put it in a different room. Technically, making it in multi-AZ, or I can take it back home to Serbia and make it multi-region. See, that would be great. Multi-region Raspberry Pis. So, actually, let me first show something here. I have my Raspberry Pi running, so I will go over through the process of how you set up your Raspberry Pi. There is basically, as you can see, I can SSH into my Raspberry Pi like that, and yeah, we can see that this is Raspberry Pi version 3, I believe, if I recall correctly. So it's running there. I can also do things. Open and then run this VNC command. By the way, if you have a MacBook Macs have hidden VNC clients on them as well. Just type open and then VNC and the address, and you will, well, get VNC access to something that, well, has VNC. And there you go. So this is not, didn't have to install anything. Macs have just that built in. So yeah, it's a Raspberry Pi, nothing special. Again, running Raspbian. So, which is the Debian flavor of Raspberry Pis. Yeah, so, and we can see some clouds here as well. So let's try to make this thing a bit more cloud aware. Let me put this down. Okay, so first thing we have to do is, oh, very good. First Mac, that's very nice. 13-inch Pro. I have also a 13-inch Pro, so it's an excellent machine. Hope you got the new one with the better keyboard, though. So, okay, first thing I need to do is I need to create a role, right? So we need to create a role that has basically permissions to interact with Systems Manager. So this role will be basically used later on to activate the EC2 instance. So this role in itself has to have a few things, right? So instead of going through this, actually, let's see if we can do this. Let me just have a look at my little piece of documentation here. So I've actually created something here that there's a few things I need to do, right? So I'm gonna be doing this. So if you see here, let me actually zoom into this. So I have a file here called SSM trust JSON. So this will be basically used to create a policy or a role that has this trust policy. So if I would go, there's a command I ran before. I will create a role. I will call it stream SSM role. And I'm passing it this JSON file. This JSON file, in essence, will create a role that has the assume role, or basically a trust setup for SSM for assume role. So this is something we need just to create this role, nothing else, right? Like that, go enter. Excellent. So we have created a role called stream SSM role. All right, now for this role to work further, we need to do something else. We need to attach a policy to this role, right? So first things first, if I go back to my no, where is this one? Yeah, if I go back to my IAM console, I am gonna be attaching a policy. So if I go to roles and refresh, there should be one more. Yeah, so SSM stream SSM role. So I did play around before this today, so I'm just going to be doing this one. I'm going to attach a policy called SSM something. So SSM, I believe, managed. Yes. So this is the policy you need to basically interact with SSM from this instance. So click attach. Yeah, I don't believe I need anything else. Yeah, that should be fine. So I just need this. I just need this policy on my role to get started, right? So next thing, and this is kind of one of the different things compared to doing it with EC2s, because this virtual machine, or this sorry, it's not a virtual machine. This Raspberry Pi is missing some elements regarding AWS. So one of the things we need to do is we need to download AWS TLS certificates, right? So these are some certificates or authority root authority certificates that we can use to well, basically give trust to AWS, right? So one of the things you can do here, and again, imagine me doing this on an actual server and not a Raspberry Pi. You can go open the browser. If it opens again. This takes a moment or so. Come on. Awesome. And you go to this address, amazontrust.com/repository. So these are the locations of all the certificates you can use to basically give trust from your virtual machine, sorry, from your on-prem server or Raspberry Pi, in my case, to AWS. So I need 2 certificates for this. I need root CA1. So this is root CA1. I will just download the PEM file. Okay, let's do it like this. Save like as. Save. And I also need this Starfield Services root certificate authority G2. So those are the 2 files we need, and also the PEM file I need to download. So save link as. Very good. So now what I need to do, I need to rename those files into CRT files. So if this would work, let's see if I can get this to increase in size. Is it like this or this. Yes. Cool. So if I go to downloads, I have two of these files here, right? So mv Amazon, this one to Amazon, that one, and just rename them to CRT, nothing else. This SFS root to SFS CRT. Excellent. So now I need to copy them to a specific location on the disk. So sudo cp Amazon, now this file, like that, USR share certificates, I believe. Is it, or user local share? Local share certificates. Yeah, CS certificates, and this is where you copy them, right? So you would copy these files here. Again, like with this, you do the same thing with the other file. Sudo cp sfs USR local share, and then CA certificates local. Excellent. So now this directory holds those two files, and this is very specific to Ubuntu or Debian-based systems. So both Ubuntu and Debian systems run it like this. So the only thing I need to do is sudo update CA or CA certificates. Yes. So that's the command. So if you run this command, it will look for certificates in those specific locations, and will basically add them to the system. Now, it has added 0 in my case because I've been using this Raspberry Pi today to play around with it, so I've already done this here. So, but this is one of the things you really have to do here. Now, once this is done, and also I just need to, I need to confirm this internet work here, and I did because, well, I can talk to the internet like this. So now we have to go back to the Amazon console and create a managed instance. Basically, we need to create an activation for Systems Manager to add an instance to Systems Manager. So it's a bit of a different approach compared to doing it on an EC2 instance, because EC2 instances just need a policy attached to them, and basically they will talk to EC2 because they have an agent installed. So we will go back to Systems Manager. And if you, on the left-hand side here, you will see managed instances, right? Oh, sorry, hybrid activations. We go to hybrid activations. So I already have a hybrid activation here, which I used before to test it out, but I can just freely delete that because I'm not going to be using it at all. So let me just see it like this. Okay. Like that. Let me have a look. Yeah, okay. Then I go here, create activation. I'll give it a name, so stream hybrid. Excellent. So, and you can define an instance limit size. So you need to define, I think, up to 1,000 instances. That's still under the free or the normal standard instance types. If you go over 1,000, you have to use the advanced instance types, which has a cost connected to it. I can just select 100, and basically with the same activation settings, and when I talk about activations, you get an activation code here, and you also get a thing called an activation ID. So those two things basically you need to activate things. So I'm going to select a role that we have used before. So if I go stream, I believe, right? Stream. Or let's just do SSM, right? It's easier. Yeah. Stream SSM role. So I'm just selecting the role we have created before, just to give instances permission to talk on this role's behalf. So I have selected this role. Now I need to select the activation expiry date. So this is, you need to use the specific format, which is kind of weird. I think the user experience here could be a bit better. And I'm going to be talking to the Systems Manager folks about it. So you define a date in this type, right? You specify the year, and then the time, and then the time zone when this basically activation will expire. So up until that time, you can use this information, and after that it will just go away. So create activation. No existing role. Wait, what? Ah, something didn't work correctly. Let me do again. Selecting existing role. SSM, come on, work this. Okay, create. Excellent. Excellent. So we have created this activation. Now, here's one problem I may have here. These two things you need. So these two things you really need, and they're only shown once here. At least that's when I have not tried the CLI to get this. So I need to write these things down. Let me just open up my text pad, whatever. Save it here. So I'm saving those things here because these are the activation ID you can get. That's not a fine. But the activation code is something that you will be needing as you try to activate your system later on. So close that. Excellent. So now we have created an activation, and we can use that activation to install or basically register an on-premise system to Systems Manager. Right. So the next thing we need to do, we actually need to switch over to the Raspberry Pi. So instead of using VNC, because VNC is great and all, but using VNC is not the fastest thing. So I'm gonna just revert to SSH now, just for the time being. So if I go back again, no, like that. So I'm gonna be using SSH here, like that, to connect to my instance, my Raspberry Pi. I need to stop calling it instances because it's a Raspberry Pi. To my Pi. Excellent. So there's a few things we need to do. So we need to install the agent first, right? So to get the agent, there is a bunch of options. So we have agents available for Amazon Linux, right? So Red Hat, Oracle Linux, CentOS, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu Server, Debian Server, and we also have an option for Raspbian. So we have a built binary or built deb file for Raspbian. So it's compiled for Raspberry Pis or for ARM architectures. So one of the things that I'm gonna go here is open up my terminal and create a temp directory. Kdir, tmp, ssm. Go there and then ssm and wget. So I'm gonna wget this URL. Now this URL is available publicly. You can find it in the documentation, but it's basically downloading it from S3. S3 US Amazon-ssm-au-west-1 latest Debian ARM Amazon SSM agent.deb. So here right now what we have is a deb file, right? Simple as that. Now once we have that here, we need to install it. So to install a package on Raspbian, you do sudo dpkg-i and then the archive itself. So Amazon, like that. So this should install the Raspbian Systems Manager agent locally once it does. So hopefully we have all the permission, all the dependencies here already. So give it a moment. And it has also created a service for us. But now, since we need to configure this, I'm gonna stop the service for now. So sudo service Amazon. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Stop. Okay, stopping the agent now. Excellent. So the agent has been stopped. So one of the things I need to do now is actually run the SSM agent with the register commands. So Amazon, again, sudo Amazon SSM agent register, right? And then I have to pass it the activation code, right? And the activation code is this whole thing here, like that. And then I have to pass it on the, I believe it is the ID, activation ID. The activation ID is something you can get even after the fact. So where is it? So this one, like so. And region, and then just I do EU West one. So you have to define a region because, well, nobody knows where your Raspberry Pi is sitting at. So again, I'm based in Germany, so I could have used Frankfurt in this case, but I already have Dublin properly set up. So yeah, so like that. Instance already registered. Would you like to? Yes, because I already did it so before, but let me try it again. So you will get this error looking at C-log, so it will always work. You always get an error like that, but because I already registered this instance, it has configuration data already here, so I just overrode it. But you will get something like this: a successfully registered instance with SSM using managed instance ID. So managed instance IDs get something like MI and then a number. So similar, like EC2 instances have the I and then a random string for like their IDs. Managed instances have MI dash whatever, right? So Kishamataka asks, oh no, I work for AWS in Berlin, not Frankfurt, but Frankfurt is my closest data center technically. So I have this set up right now. That's perfectly fine. And one of the things I need to do right now, once this is set up, is I need to start the agent, right? Or start the service. Sudo service Amazon SSM agent start. And hopefully, once this is successfully started, if I go back to my console and go to managed instances, I will see MI, wow, there you go. I have seen my instance here, and we can see that it's running Raspbian Linux version 10. So yeah. Oh, very well. Good luck, Mr. Kishamataka. Yeah, fingers crossed. I have never been to any data centers, so data centers are kind of like secret things that we don't know where they are. I literally don't know where data centers are located. So yeah, as you can see here, it has an IP address stated, and that's my local IP address. So if I would go to my, again, my Raspberry Pi and do the IP address, I would see something here, like there you go. That's my address. It's my local LAN sitting in my, well, on my table, connected to Wi-Fi. And I can see a bunch of things. I can see, well, it takes a moment or so for it to collect inventory data. But we can see some potential associations. So it's gathering inventory because one of the associations on Systems Manager is actually gather software inventory. There has been no patching set up, and it does not have any compliance information or compliance configuration data within this region for this instance. So see, the inventory has been collected, and the things we can see here is we can see all the applications installed on my Raspberry Pi, such as add user. We have ALSA utilities, we have Adwaita icon theme, just a basic icon theme for Linux, and all of these things, right? So we can have a look at some, well, it didn't collect the file information, but all these things can be also connected. Again, the same thing like any other EC2 instance will have, you can have the same for non-EC2 instances for something on premises. Now, the entire process that I showed you here would look a lot different on a proper, non Raspberry Pi based system. You would have potentially some automatic setup if you have a big old server farm or some a lot of virtual machines. You would probably do this during initialization, so you would not do this manually like myself. There will be probably some automation to do it like that. Why would you do this? Well, it easily allows you to basically create configuration or manage your configuration between both on-premises and the cloud. So if I would like, for example, one of the aspects of Systems Manager is this thing called State Manager. State Manager basically executes a specific document, or in my case, like for example, I have a solution here that runs an Ansible playbook against the group of servers. So one of the things I can do is I can basically run the same Ansible, Chef, or Puppet, or whatever kind of configuration code across both EC2 instances and on-prem instances, and it should work for the most part, right? Another thing which is really cool, let me show you this. So Session Manager, for those of you who do not know, is a feature from Systems Manager that allows you to start sessions, or basically SSH into instances using Systems Manager. So it uses the Systems Manager agent to communicate over SSL, over port 443, to kind of emulate an SSH connection. So if I would start a session with this thing, right, and you will be able to see, hopefully, just increase this, just do that, and wabam. Who am I? I'm connected as an SSM user, but if I ls home, you will see there's a PI. So if I IP like that, just reduce this, you can see that this is that instance that I'm running on. So htop and all those things. So I'm basically connected to a system sitting next to my laptop through the internet, through a Systems Manager. And this thing does not even have to have SSH enabled. As long as it can access the internet, I can communicate with it using something like this, right? So pretty neat. Again, maybe not the best use case for a Raspberry Pi, but I have colleagues who have like small, let's say, home server setups at home. Let's say you have a bunch of those HP mini servers or whatnot. So one of the things you can do with Systems Manager, you can manage the configuration on them through, well, the cloud, right? One of the other things we can do here as well, I've shown this last on one of my previous streams, is but Systems Manager comes with a feature called Distributor. And Distributor is a feature of Systems Manager that allows you to basically deploy applications or deploy packages to your EC2 instances. Now with Linux, it's much easier because you can just run a command, right? I can just basically script a command or automate an execution saying sudo apt install something. On Windows, you should be able to pass like MSI files or whatnot. But I can also install packages on my Raspberry Pi through the internet like now. So let's create a package and try to deploy it to my Raspberry Pi. So I already have a package here, Firefox ESR. I'm gonna delete this package and I'm gonna create a new one just to show you how to do it. So we're gonna install, and I found that the easiest way to install and demo, I'm gonna install Firefox, because Firefox doesn't exist on Raspberry by default. So if you go to, which is weird, most Linux systems come with Firefox. This could be because it's Debian, and Debian had this thing with Firefox, yeah. So if you go to internet, you only have Chromium, right, as a browser. So I could just, sudo apt install Firefox. I believe it's ESR, right? But that's no fun, right? Let's do it the hard way. Let's use Systems Manager for this. So if I go back to my thing here like that, and let's search for Firefox ARM deb, right? Basically, it's gonna take me to, I can find the package, the Debian package for an ARM-based Debian distribution, Firefox ESR, which is the extended support release, I believe, for ARM for Debian. So I just click here and it will download the file. Perfect. But let's go back to here and create a package. And God, it looks so bad on such a big screen. So let's call it Firefox ESR ARM. I need to give it a bucket. I have a bucket, something I called Darko, and I'm gonna give it software prefix. So it's gonna upload my application to this bucket, basically, and I'm gonna add this deb file like so. So it asks me also a couple of questions: which platform is it going to be using, and which architecture? So I'm going to just choose any, because this will run on ARM, like in this case. But there's no Raspbian here, right? Because I downloaded from Debian and from the Debian repositories, and it doesn't show Raspbian. It just shows Debian. So one of the things I'm going to do here is on the manifest, I'm going to change Debian to Raspbian, so it doesn't complain when I try to install the package to my Raspbian or to my Raspberry Pi. Otherwise, if I leave Debian, it will fail to install it because it will say your platform is not Debian. So, okay, that's the file. Simple as that. Let me see if I done it correctly. Yeah, looks good. and then create package. So it's gonna upload the package now to my S3 bucket. Again, depending on your internet speed, this might be slow or fast, and also depending on the package size. I believe it's like 70 megabytes, so it should go, hopefully go fast here. At least right now in this time of day. Usually the internet slows down a bit after hours. Let's have a look at my Raspberry Pi. It's warming up. I do have a small heatsink on it just in case, but yeah. All right. So once that is done, I just want to make sure, I want to show you also something. So one of the things you can also have a look here on, I'm on my Raspberry Pi right now. So if you go to cd var log Amazon, there is a Systems Manager folder here. So if you go to SSM, you will see the log agent and all those things. So you can if you want to troubleshoot things like I had to do when I tried this for the first time, you can have a look at the errors log or the SSM agent log, and this is where you would see all the things from your agent, well, for potential troubleshooting. Okay, excellent. So this has been uploaded. My package is available. It takes a moment or so for the distributor to actually create the package within AWS. So we'll give it a moment. Actually, refresh this. It's still creating. Also, I hope everybody's week is going okay, at least the start of the week. For me, it's Tuesday already. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Well, and I hope all of you are alive and healthy in this situation and not too much bored at home. Okay, this thing has been installed, or it's available on vacation. Very good. Yeah. Lockdown in Germany is okay, not too bad. We have a few things we need to adhere to. For example, you have to mandatory, at least in Berlin, you have to wear face masks if you go to like public transport and in shops, which is perfectly fine. No, so in general, everything works. I have not been outside of my immediate area for like the last 2 months, so I get bored of it. My job was a lot of travel. I used to literally live on airports, and now it has changed. So, but it's not too bad. Okay, I have this package now ready. Let's install this package one time. So I click on the install one time button here. And one of the things I need to specify here, basically I can just ignore all of these things. I will select a target. I will choose my instance here. So if I choose instances manually and select the managed instance, it will basically not have a name, but just instance ID, like so. I will not set up any other parameters, doesn't really matter. Rate control is okay. I will disable writing to an S3 bucket because I don't want to write any logs to a bucket. Otherwise, you can write logs or what happens to this installation somewhere else. And I'll click the run button. So this will, with the power of Systems Manager or the agent running locally, this will trigger an installation of Firefox ESR to my Raspberry Pi. Yes, so I can basically do that. I mean, that would be the preferable way. You wouldn't do this on a single instance because doing it on a single instance just makes no sense. Usually what you would do, you would tag a bunch of instances or create something called a resource group, which again, a resource group is just a bunch of resources based off a certain tag. And then you would run this against either a certain resource group or a tag collection. That's how you do it properly. I just chose the manual instance because I have no tags on my EC2 instances at the moment, at least, sorry, at the Raspberry Pi one. But yes, that would be the better approach. That would be the cloud scale approach in this use case. Okay, so let's see how it's going. It's still in progress. It takes a moment or so. So if I will be clicking here, I may be able to see some output, but no, I think output comes after the end of this. Let's see what's gonna happen. Last time I run this, it worked. But, you know, that was last time. You never know what I broke it in between. By the way, it's the new layout. Okay, I know a few of you folks are here all the time. I decided to move my face away from the screen itself, so I can have more real estate. And I think the screen itself is is big enough. So okay, successfully completed. That's very good. So if I have a look here on this one, if I look at the output, we can see that it's basically. Oh, thank you very much. We can see basically that it's this. We can see the output of basically apt or dpkg. So when you will install, it's basically it has in fact and installed an error. There has been no errors. Oh, it's just a warning, so that's fine. So if I would go back to this and I'd click this button, and wow, we have Firefox installed, right? Through the power of the internet or through the power of cloud-based agents, this is possible. So pretty neat, right? Again, this kind of brings the whole hybrid environment in line, where it gives you the ability to control multiple different environments or multiple different solutions. And a lot of customers I work with keep a percentage of their running workloads on premises for a while until they deprecate them, because moving everything off to the cloud sometimes makes no sense. So for example, some applications which may be deprecated after a while, they would keep them on-prem. So a great way to adopt kind of a standard operation procedure, or basically standard operations, which Systems Manager is used for, is to use something like hybrid instances or hybrid deployments, where you would run specific operational tasks on both on-premises and in the cloud. Now, again, this works on Linux and this works on Windows as well. So I didn't have a Windows machine here besides my desktop to show you, but this works both with Linux and Windows. So it's perfectly possible to manage your Windows system through Systems Manager as well. And again, it's not just about accessing them through Session Manager. It's also doing things such as running commands against them, as I told you before, like running Ansible or Chef or Puppet. You can also patch these instances. Basically, you can install patches coming from Patch Manager. You can install packages from Distributor, etc. And also, you can collect inventory, right? Sometimes this is very important to understand, like how your system looks. I have, how much Amazon Linux, how much Windows servers I have, and how much Raspbian servers I have, those kind of things. Which versions of Bash do I have running, inventory stuff. So yeah. Yeah, that was a quick look into how can we do things with Systems Manager, how can we manage hybrid infrastructure with Systems Manager. Yeah. So Kishamataka asks a question, a bit far-fetched, but what about AWS Outpost racks? Do they appear automatically in the dashboard? So Outposts are a completely different kettle of fish. Outposts are basically, so I cannot show you this, but if you want to use Outposts, let's say you want to launch an EC2 instance on Outposts. So Outposts basically gives you an ability to, when you launch an instance, to choose where you're gonna launch it, right? So it kind of, I'm not sure if it's in within placements groups, but it would be basically somewhere, yeah. So like a placement group or a location, you would launch an EC2 instance on an Outpost rack sitting inside of an environment. So yes, they will show up automatically because technically their EC2 instance is just running on a rack in your data center. So they're much more tightly connected to AWS than my Raspberry Pi, right? So yeah. Yeah, so you had a chance to see how this works, right? It's pretty cool. If you have a Raspberry Pi or some local systems you want to play around with, I mean, you can manage your laptop for all you know. So it doesn't really matter. I can literally connect my my personal notebook here and have it being managed through Systems Manager easily, right? I can deploy some packages and configuration changes on it with, I believe, no cost unless I'm going over 1,000 of them and doing like, oh yeah, one thing that costs money, I didn't tell that. So Session Manager costs money. So if you want to use Session Manager with managed instances, those instances need to be upgraded to the advanced type, which costs a certain amount per month. I don't know the exact costs, but that is something you should be aware of if you're going to be using Session Manager with on-prem or managed instances, just so you know. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. Stay tuned. This video is going to be coming out on YouTube, like all of my other videos. I'm going to be posting them on my YouTube channel, which I share on my social media. I don't share my link to my YouTube channel here because I don't have a proper URL. I need like 75 subscribers on it to get the URL, so I'm still waiting for that. But it's going to come out on my YouTube channel today or tomorrow, if you missed the recording, if you missed the live stream actually, and stay tuned for again next week. This week on Thursday, I don't know what the topic's gonna be, so I need to think about what I'm gonna be streaming about and what I'm gonna be talking about. So we'll see. Once again, thank you very much. I wish you a really nice rest of the week, and yeah, stay safe, stay positive, and stay tuned for more sweet AWS stuff. Bye bye.